Diamonds in the rough. NFL Draft Diamonds. Time to shine.
So, Clarence Lewis, what was life like growing up in New Jersey for you, especially being from Edison, going to modern day? Can you kind of run, the fellow slightly personal podcast fans what life was like for you?
Personally, Jersey for me was great. Honestly, everyone, I mean, going to different schools, going to school like in Indiana and Syracuse, people always say like, "What's so good about Jersey?" I feel like Jersey has everything you need, honestly. So it's like definitely a great place to like grow up and great place that I hope to come back to in the future.
And you got an opportunity to experience playing at Mater Dei High School. Can you run us through the 4 years of playing at Mater Dei? What was it like for you? Were you always this, you know, big kid, 6 foot coming in, playing, corner, playing offense? Did you have the ability as a freshman, or was it something that you really had to work for and grow into?
Well, my freshman year it was just strictly like a special teams role, like maybe just a kickoff. I even played a little kicker my freshman year, but it was just like just a little bit of varsity my freshman year. But it was something I had to grow into and like build my confidence up, just like how I was always playing the rest of my life. Like prior in my life, I just had to build on that and just continue to work and build on my confidence.
I mean, building up your confidence to being a top 20 player from New Jersey.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a pretty easy way to build up your confidence, I think, right? What's that like being such a young, adult really at that point? Because it's really hard to call you a kid, when you're going through that. But being a young adult, experiencing the hype and the fame of, having coaches at your games, having these recruiters coming in saying, "Hey, we want to pull Clarence out of class right now. We have to have a conversation with him." Like what's first of all the emotional toll kind of like on a kid like that? Was it something that you felt like you handled pretty well, or was it something that you feel like maybe got a little bit, you know, crazy at some points?
Um, I honestly feel like I handled it pretty well. I didn't get like over no big headed or anything of that nature. I just embraced the process because obviously I didn't really have no one to ask before that about how the process would go. I just went along with the process. I was just grateful that coaches just coming to talk to me and wanted to get to know me.
And it's got to be pretty cool. Some of your friends have to be asking you, "Oh, like, what's going on?" They probably want like the inside ESPN scoop. Is that what it's kind of like?
Yeah, definitely like wondering because most of my friends we grew up just playing football outside, racing each other, competing like that. But it's like when obviously if when some of your friends didn't get the same attention from coaches, they want to like ask those type of questions. So I'll be most transparent in that and just tell them to just keep doing what they're doing in this and their time will come.
Are you still close with a lot of the guys like that?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that's got to be pretty cool.
Yeah.
And so, can you maybe run us through the decision to end up going to Notre Dame? Besides it being Notre Dame, obviously, like what was recruiting like for you specifically from the Notre Dame point?
It was like a 4 year decision. It's pretty much like you go in there for 4 years, but it's a 40 year decision pretty much. And like I just when I went there, I just fell in love with it because obviously my my mom fell in love with it because the academic side of things, and I fell in love with it because the overall like this overall feel for it. Because the feeling I was looking for was like a family atmosphere somewhere I could feel like I could like be myself on and off the field. So that's what I fell in love with, and it was kind of similar to how modern day was in a way, but in a um, a giant scale. Yes, if that makes sense.
And it's cool to kind of hear you talk about the academic aspect of it because you get a lot of players like maybe like Cordell Jones that say we didn't go to we didn't go to play school. It's so. Can you maybe talk about how important academics have really been for you? Being able to go 4 years in college and then transferring and being able, to experience all that. Where you have a lot of players that leave after their junior year. They don't get to experience the full aspect of college in terms of the academic side. How important was it for you, you to really, especially hearing that your mom really cared about the academic side of it? How important for you was it to get that degree?
It was extremely important because obviously we obviously we all have these. I had an aspiration to go into the NFL and playing football for a long time, but I no matter how long you playing, it's still not for that long, and you still have plenty of life after that. So, being able to give that same effort in the classroom as in the on the field would I feel like will help me later on in life when I need to switch, pretty much switch directions and find a new career after.
And what'd you go to school for, if you don't mind me asking?
It was actually art studio. Was years behind, years back. I really realized I could draw a little bit, so began to draw and began to like art and all honestly all kinds of art in a huge way.
I saw you have like a separate Instagram page for you, don't you?
Yep, I didn't post in a little minute, but I'm gonna get back to that soon.
You have to. It's like with AJ Brown reading on the sidelines. You could be the corner that's drawn on the sidelines, and we could get some. We could do something like that. I mean, so is drawing like was it like a release for you? I mean, was it or was it just something that you did that was like fun on the side?
It was like one of those things I just did on the side. I was just pretty good at it in art class, and I was like, okay, hold on, I'm actually kind of good. So like, let me just continue with this, and because it was like obviously sometimes you come into like a I don't know, not like a writer's block, but like a drawing block. I don't know what it is, but you can come in some blocks. But once that idea gets to flowing, it's just like an endless of ideas, and it's just you just can't wait to get to the finished product to see that masterpiece.
And what are like the teammates and all, what are your teammates reacting to when you're with the art? I mean, there had to be some guys that were, I mean, were they like, oh, let me get a drawing, or were they like, oh, that's kind of weird? Like, what's it? I mean, what is it? What's that like from a football player? Because you really don't hear a lot of football players being, artistic or going into other fields other than, the athletic side of it. So, what was that reaction kind of like from your peers?
I think they was more or less surprised that I was pretty good at art. So I think more on that side, rather than this surprise when I would just show them some work and things like that. That's about it.
So when you get to Notre Dame, is it no more? Was it no more art? Is it strictly football? Did you still do a little bit of drawing at Notre Dame?
Yeah, actually, yeah, I took a lot. I want to say every semester I took a few art classes, and that's where most of my artworks came from on my art page. Actually, it's throughout the years I would just draw the pieces. It's more like pieces, just like assignments and things like that. I get a prompt, and this off based off that prompt, I'll come up with a piece of art.
And like switching over to the football side of being at Notre Dame, how important was it for you to be able to get experience, at such a young age at Notre Dame, coming in, getting able to start a few games? Can you really look us back on that aspect? I mean, that's not something that everyone really gets to go through.
Mm.
Can you maybe run us through your freshman year kind of mindset of, wow, I'm in here, I'm doing this. Like, when did you first have your come to realization moment that, all right, I'm doing this? Do you know that?
Um, so coming in, I think I was maybe like the lowest out of the lowest rated, what ranked out of all the corners that went, but I didn't really worry about all the rankings and things of that nature. I just saw like an opportunity to this honestly
It put
this
a chip on. It had to put
show
a chip on. It had
really
to put a chip on your shoulder.
yeah, it's like a chip. It's like I'm gonna just put my head down to work and like
Uh,
it's like I'm gonna try to like I'm not gonna let the things that don't involve talent affect how things move. So like I'm trying my hardest in everything. I'm just trying to be noticed, and I'm really just out there just playing football at this point. It's not really trying. It's just playing and just having fun, and and that's just how I ended up on the field, just giving it my all and having that chip on my shoulder.
when did you start seeing the reps really come in? Was it like early off in practice, during spring, or was it something that you really saw coming through as the season went on?
I would want to say it was like sometimes in practice I'll see more and more reps, like more in the game. Since it was COVID, sometimes that would cause like people would be sick. I'll get more reps or things in that nature. But it was more or less the better I did, that's when the more reps came.
It's kind
Like
of
the more consistent I was, the more reps came.
it's kind of interesting hearing talk about COVID, thinking like we're where we are right now. It's like
Yeah.
we're not really far from it, but we kind of are. But how do you feel, the extra COVID year, and all the other things that came along with it? How do you feel like it really maybe helped you mold into a player? Because, considering, when we wouldn't have an extra year or other situations like that, where it's like, hey, you got to get out or you got to make a decision what you're going to do. Do you feel like it was very beneficial for you to be able to grow?
Yeah, it helped me tremendously, honestly, because I feel like I needed this last year to really show more of what I can do. Grow more as a player, get more comfortable, and continue to get just better each time, each day, and each game.
And what was the transfer portal like for you? It couldn't have been an easy decision wanting to leave Notre Dame, especially being there for 4 years.
Mm.
Kind of maybe run us through, just what you were feeling. Really, it's you kind of hear the only thing you really hear about the transfer portal is when the announcers or someone wants to talk down on it, saying, "Oh, you only really hear the negative side." But could you maybe give us some of the positive sides that you've witnessed from it?
I feel like it was a lot of positive sides because it was like a lot of great. It was actually a good time to reflect on me and my playing ability, and really just sit back and just get to know people more, get to know more coaches, and get a chance to. It's really get a chance to like open my eyes to what else is out there as well, and get a lot of good insight and a lot of good perspectives from different people.
And what drew you to like the opportunity to play, at Syracuse? What was like kind of maybe the deciding factors that really pushed you in? Were there other schools that you were really looking at, or was it Syracuse all the way?
So I really I trusted Coach Fran a lot. He's extremely honest, hardworking, and direct person. I just felt that. I just felt like I could trust him. I liked what he was saying, and I could feel like I could still trust him to this day because he was a truly a man of his word, and it was close to home. A lot of my family could get to the games. They pretty much came to like every game this year. Well, every home game. Um, and also I knew him since like high school days too, when he was in the recruiting process. So it was pretty much an easy decision for me.
And reflecting back on, the last year that you had Syracuse, will you kind of reflect on like what points throughout the season were really, important to you? And also, is it hard going from one team, being in a culture for 4 years, and then all of a sudden switching to a completely different team? Like, how do you feel that you really handled coming in and being, an outsider?
Um, it could definitely be hard, especially you like you new in the locker room. So it's like you got to get to know people. You got to find who your new people are, and you got to get to know. Honestly, you got to just see how you gel within that building. But no, but seeing, I mean, but with Syracuse, with Syracuse, it was pretty much everybody was new there. Not everyone, but like most of the people was new. So we was all meeting each other and learning off each other and growing off each other. So I think that's what helped it a lot. I think it would have been different if I was going to this a school where they all gelled for years, or it was I don't know, it was it's different. It wasn't like a whole new team or close to a new team.
So how do you kind of maybe take that mindset? You're going to be joining, hopefully an NFL team coming up in the next, few months or something. How do you kind of take in that mindset and saying, okay, because you're going to be going to a team that's going to have people on the roster that have been there for
Yeah.
years. How do you kind of fit, maybe also in that defensive backroom too? How do you kind of feel that do you feel you have the right mindset to be able to go in there? What do you think is going to be really key on the characteristics that you share or that you have to share with, your fellow teammates coming up in the pro level?
So I think if I just remain who I am day in and day out, and especially do what I do now, is just put my head down and work. I'm not the most vocal guy, but I will for sure lead. On the flip side, I definitely feel like I got to be more vocal, but I'm excited to see and experience it.
So how is like kind of the training been different? So going from being a high school kid to training for college to now having to train for the professional level. What is like the different ways you've been training? Have you been looking at different methods of training? Has it been something that you've kind of been doing your whole life? Are you just let me get in the weight room, lift a few weights, boom, go run 5 miles a day and I'm done? Or is there more? What does your training kind of consist of right now?
It's more like attention to detail now, to like the little muscles that you really don't think of, and the little details in like running form that you really don't think of. So it's really breaking that down and being able to run faster, be more explosive, be stronger. It's more like, and then also getting my body back, making sure like the things I had, and making sure like the imbalances or whatnot just become straightened out.
How excited are you for the pro day? It has to be. Yeah.
I'm really excited. I'm really excited, especially for the 40, because I didn't run a 40 in a long time, and I'm extremely excited, especially with the training I'm doing now. I think it could be really good.
Gotcha. Well, the one of the last questions I always like to really end off on is, is there anyone you want to really kind of give like a shout out to that has really helped you out like along the way, whether it be your parents and all, just kind of like who have been like the main important factors in turning Clarence Lewis into not only the once professional football player, but now a professional human being too as well. Yeah.
I definitely want to get a shout out to my mom. My mom been there through thick and thin. Definitely with me, taking me to practice, making sure my head's straight, making sure I have all the right tools needed and all the things needed to become the man who I am today. So definitely shout out to her, and I thank her and I love her.
It's awesome, Anthony. I'm excited to see where your future goes, man. I really do appreciate you taking the time not only to give me but the slightly personal podcast fans, a little bit closer look at what Clarence Lewis is like underneath the pads.
So I appreciate you having me on here.